You're going to experience adversity in your life. You're going to have workouts that are harder than others. But if you show up and you control the controllables, your attitude, your effort, being able to bring that consistently, you're going to overcome at the end of the day. There's nothing you can't do. And I went Division I. I had a brief stop at JUCO first. So opportunity came about. I know I had earned it. I'd worked towards it. But if I would have went to Kansas State, if I would have went to Mankato, if I would have went to these Division II or III schools that called me right out of high school, I know I would have been effective, played more, and had an amazing experience. And I don't regret that by any means, but yeah, I mean, I have so many conversations with kids and they come in and they say, my goal is to be Division I want to go to LSU. Keep in mind, Division II, Division III, you're playing a hell of a lot of good football players out there and you're going to have one great experience. So don't ever set yourself so high on that one thing that if you miss it, you're a failure, because that is not the case.
Welcome and everybody to this week's episode of Fighting for Overtime. As always, I'm your host, Coach Tony. And again, I have fantastic guests every single time. And tonight is like no other. Director of ETS Performance and former Division I college football player, my man, Jake Kirsch. He is the senior director, like I said, and former football player. Minnesota provides detail on how to construct youth training the right way. Very important, with a focus on long-term development and building confidence and community instead of burnout. We know that word on this program, and pressure. At ETS, Jake helps oversee programs that train thousands of youth athletes across the country alongside NFL players like Adam Thielen. He's energized to redefine, I love this part, with youth performance training really means helping kids as young as 8 build the right foundation for physical, mental, and emotional growth. You can follow him on IG at Coach Jake Kirsch. That's Coach JakeKirsch. He has a Linktree account as well to all of his content, which I will make sure is linked to this podcast. Jake, man, thanks so much for joining me tonight.
Appreciate you having me, brother.
Man, I'm looking forward to this because that training is so important. And I know it's going to be a cliche thing. We're going to have a great conversation tonight, but just before we even get started, let me just explain to everybody what ETS is and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
No doubt. Yeah, so we are strictly designed for youth sports performance. So we are a private sector strength and conditioning facility that focuses on strength and speed development for athletes as young as age all the way up to 18. We have a ton of seasonal college kids that come back. We have professionals that we work with, semi-pro. There's no type of athlete that we haven't seen, whether it's Irish dance, whether it's the top football prospects. Like, there's nobody that we haven't trained, no injury we haven't worked around, no goal we haven't done our best to help a kid achieve. And so we're super blessed to be more of a niche training in the niche training field, not doing the sport specific stuff, working on your jump shot, working on your swing. Like, we focus on the physical development of the athlete and help build character along the way.
You just said Irish dance, man. How did that come along? And that's interesting. I'm intrigued.
I stumbled into that one, man. I was actually the one in Rochester. I had a girl named Molly. She was fantastic. She walked in like just super bubbly, super athletic, tiny. And her mom had said she does Irish dance. And so I'm sitting there thinking, I know all the sports. I know what dancing is. I don't know if I'm super familiar with Irish dance. And I got an education lesson during her evaluation. And so I got to learn a ton. And it's a super unique sport. You got to be light on your feet. You got to be mobile. You got to have stamina. So that was a lot of fun to learn about that and work with her.
See, that's what's awesome, man. It's like when you do things like you do and like what I do, I get to talk to so many different individuals. You learn things that it's like you're always getting education, right?
100%. Like, every day I show up and like I can master the monotony, like all the little tasks day to day that people would normally get burnt out at. Like, I view it as play, but every day is different. I construct my day. I find energy in everything. The people that I work with bring energy to me. There's no day that I ever dread going into work.
That's that. You're living the American dream, bro. It's, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing where you love going to work every day. Like, I love going to work every day. I didn't love going to work every day 10 years ago, but now I do. And it is such a different feeling. And we talk about mental health, man. You talk about how great your mental health is when you get to walk into a door or sign in somewhere that you love, man. It's nothing like it, is there?
No bad days, baby.
I love it. So you said that earlier, man. No bad days. Now, let me ask you this. What inspired you to shift from, obviously, we talked about you played Division I football to leading youth development at ETS right now?
Yeah, so I was running back at the University of Minnesota, and throughout my football journey, like I was always the football guy. I knew that was where I wanted to again go have a career in college, whatever level it was. I always knew I wanted to push as far as I could, and I was fortunate to land at a Power Five program. And when I went there, if I'd be lying if I said when I stepped foot on campus, I knew I'd be the starter on day one because we had I think four of the guys in the running back room who touched the field in the NFL. So it was an interesting transition going from being the star everywhere I went to being the guy who again contributed no matter where I was on the field. Always did my best, always knew the plays, was a great guy in the locker room. But it was one of my coaches, my running backs coach. We had for my junior to senior year, he had sat me down after the season and he told me, I know you know your role on the team. Like guys, you're magnetic. Guys rally around you. Like you're able to be the person who can encourage others. You can uplift others, empower them. Have you ever thought about coaching? And and when he said that, I was like, well, I don't want to be a football coach. I mean, I love football, but I just don't think that's where my my passion is. And when I had kind of gotten through strength conditioning at that level, I was blessed to work with a ton of high level dudes who went on to do great things, and they poured into me and really showed me that strength conditioning is a lucrative career. And so with that, I was like, well, I guess coaching does take many forms. And so that I ended up finding the platform I needed to go connect with people, to instill confidence in others, to help them develop physically and reach their potential. So it was interesting because when he said it, I was like, I mean, I get it. I appreciate the compliment, but I never really understood that this would be my path, being called a coach as someone who's not wearing a headset on the football field.
It's interesting, man. I mean, you touched on a lot of great points. I mean, number one, you just talked about you being in a Power Five program where you probably came from high school as being like the guy to just being a guy, right? So a totally different mindset shift, which is exactly what we talk about on this program. Now you just talk about confidence as well. So how would you say yourself, at ETS intentionally build confidence, not just performance? Because you deliberately said that earlier. You're so worried about confidence in these young athletes today.
Yeah, I mean, confidence is huge, and it's all a product of the environment you're in. Because if you're surrounded by yes men your entire life, who are the people that just talk about how great you are and shy away from maybe the blind spots you have, the weaknesses as you have, and they don't truly pour into you to push you and to make you aware of the things that could be holding you back, I mean, that's a disservice. And so for us, we consider ourselves a character development program that does training just as much as a training program that works on character. And so I mean, it's huge to be able to put kids in situations where they are going to be challenged. They're going to be pushed. They're going to be held to an expectation and a standard, but they're going to be loved up every step of the way. They're going to be surrounded by their biggest fans. They're going to be in a room full of people that want to be there and have made the choice to train with us at ETS. It's not people that we just have helicopter parents sending their kids in because they want an hour away from them. And so I mean, I'm huge on the ETS family is what we call ourselves. It's not just lip service. We want that environment where people truly feel seen. They feel empowered. They feel like they've got people around them that have their back and are going to set them up for success to not only succeed on the field, which, yeah, you're going to be physically better and you're going to go play with more confidence because you're more physically prepared to do so. But confidence is a life skill. I want people to step into that interview and they go into the working world and know the value they provide. They've had people that have put them in a position where they can highlight those strengths and show what value they can contribute to the world. And that's exactly what we do on a day-to-day.
I love it. I mean, it's basically an investment. It's when you go into training. I remember this as a coach. It's number one, it's a two-way street, but you have to have investment on both sides. Whoever your trainer is has to be invested in you, not just the method, but also who you are, because everybody's character is different, right? You probably know who you can push, who you can't push. I mean, you train as young as 8 years old. I mean, how do you keep that? Like, here's my 17-year-old that I'm training as opposed to an 8-year-old. How can you shift so quickly from ages?
I mean, everybody that comes through our doors is treated as an individual. Like we're big believers in building a collective group of people, the ETS family, that again, we want to support one another. But when you show up through our doors, it's not that I want you to go compete against that other person. I want you to compete against the person you look at in the mirror every single morning. And so when you step foot in our doors, we're going to push you to become 1% better than you were the day before. We're going to find those areas where we can push you, get you close to messing up on stuff, kind of figuring out what we need to work on and get you uncomfortable. But we're never going to set you up for failure. So with the 8-year-olds, yeah, we're bringing them back there. We're having them do things that they've never done before. Might be a challenging stimulus we're giving them that they have to react to and go execute. With the 17-year-old, it might be more refined. It might be more specific. And they can understand higher level coaching and being able to just use verbiage and language that you can't use with an 8-year-old. So you have to be able to know who you're talking to, make it simple, make it intentional, make it effective. And we do a phenomenal job of being able to work with males, females, old, young, novice, advanced. Doesn't matter. There's not a person we can't connect with.
I love it, man. I love it. Now, obviously we talk about, phrases like appropriate development, but I like how you just said you treat everybody as an individual, no matter what the gender is, no matter what the age is. Now, how would you say you guys balance the kids to improve without overwhelming them mentally or physically? You know their limits physically probably, but what do you look for mentally to say, okay, maybe we need to go in a different direction?
Yeah, I mean, right when we have kids come through the doors, we're sitting through that evaluation with their family, and I ask the kid, is this something that you want to do? And I mean, the majority of the time, I'd say 99%, they're like, yeah, absolutely. When can we start? And that tells me that they're ready to make the commitment. This is something they are doing. It's not something mom and dad are going to go back there and watch them and they're going to be training too. This is the kids' time. And so when it comes to balancing the mental aspect of thing, step one at the eval, make that commitment. Okay. You're going to experience adversity in your life. You're going to have workouts that are harder than others. But if you show up and you control the controllables, your attitude, your effort, being able to bring that consistently, you're going to overcome at the end of the day. There's nothing you can't do. And so that mental side of things, like that's training is going to bring the most out of you in that aspect, where not every day is rainbows and butterflies. I know there are heartbreaks in high school. There's homework. There's all the stressors that they experience. We want to be that hour of the day where they can come to us, forget about everything, not be in front of a screen for an hour, and just focus on bettering themselves. And so the mental and physical go hand in hand.
I love it, man. I love it because, I've seen it on both sides. And to hear you say 99% of kids that come in and say, yo, I'm ready, let's roll. I love it. I know you're always going to have that small percentage that you probably already know. It's like, hey, listen, we know the parents are probably pushing this child to do, I get it. Unfortunately, that does happen. But to hear you guys have such a high percentage of kids coming in, that's music to my ears. Now, let me ask you, what the number one mistake would you say that you see parents and coaches making in youth performance training today?
Well, I would say, I mean, you even kind of indirectly touched on it just now, is they're doing it for themselves and not for the kid. It's, I want to set my kid up for success because that's what I did. It's like, your kid has his own goals. He's 12. He doesn't know what he wants yet, but provide him with the resources so he can drive the bus. Okay. Set him up with the people that are going to pour into him, that are going to give him an experience where if he loves it, fantastic. Like, we're going to continue to adapt and evolve our approach to go help him reach his goals. But if they're doing it because that's what they want to do as a parent and not because the kid shows interest in it, they're the ones that are circling the ETS days in the calendar where they're excited to go, like, that's just the wrong fit. And so luckily we have very, very minimal amount of helicopter parents that are like that. We have so many great parents that are super supportive of their kids. So I can't speak to the negative a ton, but I do know that in the youth sports world now, like, kids are getting pulled in so many different directions and parents are just trying to keep up with the Joneses, and it shouldn't be that way.
I agree, man. I'll tell you what, man, you're good. You want to have me sign up right now, man. Like, I'm ready to train right now. Like,
ETS Philly, baby, let's go.
let me hop on a play, man. You know what I mean? I'll be right there. I probably last about 2 minutes, but that's about it. At least I get something out of it, right? At least I get something out of it. I want to backtrack a little bit because, obviously getting into this, you obviously played sports your like probably play other sports. I'm sure we'll get into that, but just like kind of like your early years, looking back at, your youth sports days, obviously totally different than it is right now. But did you ever feel pressure to perform? And if you did, how did you deal with it?
Yeah, I'd say the bulk majority of the pressure that I felt was probably self-induced. Like I was the type of kid that grew up pretty low self-confidence. Like I was the short, stocky kid growing up, didn't hit the growth spurt till I was 13, 14, and actually like felt good about myself. And so when I played sports, like I didn't want to have that one thing that I failed at. People would see that I wasn't good at it. And so that's what just sparked me to work hard at things. And so I fortunately didn't have a ton of like my parents. They weren't the ones to go push me into things I didn't want to do. They knew that I had a genuine love for football at the time, basketball, baseball. Like I just wanted to play and be a kid. And they set me up to go do those things. And so I know growing up, I had friends that were maybe the opposite, where again, it was something that they hated, but mom and dad keep signing me up for it. So for me, just being someone who wanted to achieve and not mess up at stuff and be seen as lesser than, that was like my internal drive to, hey, step up, show out, you enjoy this process. But if you want to be successful at it, you got to put the time, the effort in. So I'm my own worst enemy is what I'm getting at.
Nah, listen, I mean, we all have that, man. Like I say that just for myself, and it just doesn't even have to do with sports. I mean, just with what I'm doing right now, I'm so I'm like a perfectionist that sometimes I hurt myself because it takes me so much time to do things because I'm so worried about every little detail. It's like finally, it's like, dude, you got to get out of your own basement here and just do it, man. Like, get out of your own mind and just do it. So I completely understand that mentality because I'm there right now at my age. Now, as someone who played at a Power Five school, Division 1, how is that pressure different? You felt in college compared to what would you say many kids are experiencing now at 12 or 13, or is it that much different?
I would say when you get to that level, you understand the expectations, you understand the commitment that goes into being successful at that level. So you're around a bunch of people that are in the same shoes as you and you're not special. Like you have to show up, you have to go to every meeting, you have to be at every lift, you can't be late to practice or there are repercussions, or you're just not going to be on the team. Now, when you're 12 or 13, I feel like back when I was that age, I didn't experience nearly the amount of pressure that the kids do nowadays. The rise of club sports and the traveling sports and all the stuff that you chat about on your pod all the time and the experiences that you've had. I didn't play a single club sport. Like I did traveling baseball for 1 year. The rest of it was just house league. For football, we didn't do 7-on-7 and learn how to be really fancy with our feet, but not effective at football. Like we just played when it was time to play. And so I think now the pressure is so much greater because there's so many opportunities to go play that people are feeling like they're missing out if they don't sign up for everything. And they just have to zoom out, take that 10,000-foot view and be like, if you're good, you're going to get seen. Like go show out when the lights are on in the season that you're in. You don't have to do so many things at once because you're going to end up hating it. And so, yeah, I mean, it's different, but similar and worse now, I'd say.
Nah, listen, what you just said, I want to touch on that, and I touch on this all the time. If you are an athlete, if you are good, you will get seen. And I used to say this to my kids. I coach all the time when the parents would come up and like, well, I coached softball, was one of my favorite coaches, one of my favorite sports to coach. And I would get a lot of parents. My son or my daughter's a Division 1 softball player. Well, she should not be subbing in. And listen, I'm like, please understand something. If she's that good, she will get seen. You don't have to put her in every training facility, every showcase tour. Like there are ways, and I think that's what people lose sight of. I had a great guest on who was a Mackenzie, who was for Scout U, and she played Division 1 soccer. And her biggest regret, she told me, was when she was going through the process, she was so in her mind, not her parents, just her mind was like, I need to be Division 1, that she gave up Division 2 and 3 opportunities, that she looked back now and said, you know what? I probably would have had more fun in Division 2 and Division 3, but I just felt like I needed to be that Division 1 athlete. Do you see that?
All the time, and I'm a victim of that too. I mean,
See?
that was the thing, is like when I went Division 1, I had a brief stop at JUCO first, so I had to grind my way out there, be on the field for every single opportunity, because I knew in my mind, I'm like, well, my first email ever was future Minnesota Gopher at like hotmail.com. So I think I planted that in my own mind. But from there, it was like, when the opportunity came about, I know I had earned it. I'd worked towards it. But if I would have went to Kansas State, if I would have went to Mankato, if I would have went to these Division 2 or 3 schools that called me right out of high school, I know I would have been effective, played more, and had an amazing experience. And I don't regret that by any means. But yeah, I mean, I have so many conversations with kids, and they come in and they say, my goal is to be Division 1. I want to go to LSU. It's like, brother, you're 5'6". Like, I don't know if you've seen these LSU guys, but keep in mind, Division 2, Division 3, you're playing a hell of a lot of good football players out there, and you're going to have one great experience. So don't ever set yourself so high on that one thing that if you miss it, you're a failure, because that is not the case.
That's huge. I love it, and you're echoing the same thing that Mackenzie had said. It's great to hear it again, because I think a lot of kids pass on those opportunities. And I had a couple local girls that I know in the soccer realm that they had opportunities, and they decided to not take them, and they were so happy because they're like, I'm actually enjoying myself, and I'm playing competitive soccer against some really, really good athletes. They, their focus wasn't, I'm going to go to the pros. Their focus was, I want to play competitive soccer, at a good facility, get my academics, and still be a kid. And I think you could achieve all of that. So I think parents really, really, really need to understand that.
It's like make it the big time where you're at, like, yeah, if you have dreams of being in the NFL or the MLB, whatever, yeah, you have to have those huge dreams. And I encourage everyone to dream as big as they can, right? Like, aim small, miss small. But just because you don't land at that destination does not mean that you're not exactly where you're supposed to be.
No, you're so spot on. You really are. Now, going back a little bit when we talked about, because we know, like, everybody has a team now. There's so many travel teams, and there's so many all-star teams, and it's like everybody has this elite program and everybody's chasing. Have you ever had any conflict? And what I mean by that is, not really in a negative sense, but maybe one of your kids come in and you're going through the motions. They say, hey, my coach says that I shouldn't be, training this way. I should be doing that. Have you ever witnessed anything like that?
All the time. I mean, that can come from even the local.
All the time. Sorry, but
I mean, it's not so much in the negative sense, but so many people have opinions, and a lot of it is like protecting their stars, where they know they've got an amazing athlete on their team, and they know that they're doing supplemental training over at a place, whether it's ETS or elsewhere, and they think, well, that's what's going to get them hurt. It's like, kids aren't getting hurt in the weight room. Okay. Kids aren't getting hurt under the supervision of trained professionals. They're getting hurt because they're never stepping foot off the court. They're playing both ways every single snap of the football game. Like, it's the exposures that are wearing them down, getting them hurt. We're trying to combat that. We are complementing your program, your team. We're not competing against it. And so it's a lot of just the education piece, because I have a ton of amazing conversations with upper level Power 5 coaches. Like, when we have athletes that are going to go play college, ask them, hey, what do you guys do at your level? How can we best prepare them? They think it's fantastic that they've got kids training at ETS or just doing something that is not just more sport. And so I think it's the education piece, like I had mentioned, that is just missed. And I get excited when those opportunities pop up, because it's just another opportunity to have a conversation with somebody and share what we exactly do. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, now that I know what she's doing when she's there, or he's doing when he's there, I feel good about it. I built trust. So, I mean, people always have their opinions. And when you hear well, this person was a former professional, and he says they should do that. It's like, he was a professional because he's good at the sport. It doesn't mean he can do the training. He can explain it to a 12-year-old on what he should be doing. So know your scope.
Yeah, it's stay in your lane. I just tell people, like, stay in your lane, man. Like, no disrespect, but just please stay in your lane. I get it. So, no, I love it, man. I do. I love it. Now, you've worked around incredible people. Obviously, you hear the names Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins, things of that nature. What lessons from those pros do you think can translate best to the kids in youth sports?
So much of it comes back to the character side of things, man. I mean, when Adam addresses our company at the summit, and when I've heard him talk at ribbon cuttings and things like that, he always talks about discipline, talks about embracing the process and enjoying the process, not the outcome. And so it's those little daily disciplines that every day that you show up to work, whether it's to practice, whether it's to film, whether it's to lift, whether it's to whatever, treat it like a professional. Okay, show up, have intention behind the things you do. Don't just be a shell of yourself and go through the motions. Like when you're there, be where your feet are. And so it's being able to love the hard things, being able to understand that not every day you're going to make these big leaps and bounds to again achieve this desired outcome that you have set for yourself, because it doesn't happen overnight. It's the persistence, it's the consistency of showing up as your best self and maximizing every opportunity you get. And so it's not even like the X's and O's of training that Adam says you need to do this many sets of that, you need to do this many days of speed work. It's you need to show up, trust the process, and enjoy the grind, because it's not an easy thing. And the people that can withstand that sort of pressure, that sort of just grind, they're the people that's the cream that rises to the top.
It's true. I mean, listen, Adam's been playing for a long time. He's had a long career, right? And he's suffered through multiple injuries, and he's still come back, and he's still hit the field. So, I mean, hearing that, that's the thing. When you're a kid, especially we've been teenagers, right? We feel like we are fearless at that age, or nobody can tell us anything. We know everything, right? But when you listen to somebody, I feel that doesn't, like you said, that doesn't just give you the X's and O's and give you numbers and analytics, and they're actually talking to you about culture and discipline and all of that. It just makes you want to listen more, because it always seems like it's more powerful to me whenever I've had a conversation with somebody who could actually give me an actual conversation with real words and real guidance, and not just, like you said, talk about numbers. It's a totally different concept. It makes you completely buy in, man. It really does.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Now, obviously, we've talked about the word burnout, which is synonymous. You've actually mentioned it a few times earlier when you talked about training, and we've talked about, the different ages and things of that nature. It's one of the biggest stories right now in youth sports. One of the biggest reasons why, I've started this, because I've seen a lot of kids I've coached. I've seen a lot of kids that some of my friends have coached. I've had parents that are close friends of mine whose kids have gone through the ropes and have been that stud player, and actually said at their senior year they don't want to play anymore because they're completely burnt out, because they've been playing 7 days a week and no days off, and they just wanted to be a kid. So what does burnout, would you say, look like from your perspective, as you train today's youth?
Yeah, it's just the overcommitted schedules, like you've got kids that are, at one point, we had athletes that are in 3 sports at once. They're finishing up basketball season, getting into track while still doing club volleyball. Like when you're doing so many things, like you can only have so much energy, and you can only have so much time to actually be a kid in the years that you're never going to get back. And so I feel like there's so much pressure on parents to, like I said, keep up with the Joneses and sign them up for absolutely everything. But you have to be able to say no to things. And the kids, I feel like, are just pressured into, well, I've always done this, whether I love it or not, I still got to continue to do it. Like there's got to be some support from the parents too, to be like, if you don't want to do this, just tell me. Because if it's not filling your cup anymore, if it's not lighting your fire, like there's no sense in making you hate sport, hate the thing that you once loved. And so for burnout, like it's so hard, because the young kids, you can train them every day and they're going to recover at the speed of light, but we encourage them not to do that. We want to teach them balance. We want to teach them, again, that they need to have time to go be a kid and do dumb stuff and have frozen pizza on a Friday night. Like, do that. You shouldn't be doing multiple sports every single night of the week, because again, it's setting you up for the thing that you once loved. When you turn 17, 18, you hear that this kid's not going out for sport anymore. We missed the mark somewhere years before that. And so it takes many shapes and forms, but it just sucks when you do see it in general. And it's something that can be prevented, in my opinion.
Now, is there such a thing that you would say as training too hard? Like, maybe a way to approach this question is, if I was an athlete and I was a one sport athlete, say I played football and I came to you at ETS, to be my trainer and to train me, what would a training schedule look like? As opposed to, somebody like you said, that's overburdened and going through multiple sports.
Yeah, when kids have a true off season, like we can actually dedicate time to their training where I see you upwards of 4 or 5 days a week, and that's perfect. I don't want to see anyone 7 days a week. Okay. We need to recover. We need to adapt. We need to be prepared for the next time we come and train so you're not constantly putting yourself in a deeper hole of stress that we're never going to dig out of. So, like a true off-season kid, we can have those days where we're grinding you pretty hard. Like you don't have to wake up and compete the next day. So if you're sore, that's not the end of the world. And then as we transition through seasons, okay, we want to make sure that we're preparing you for what's next. So as the season comes about, I can't have you leaving here with heavy legs. You have to go practice and play the next day. So we taper it back, we educate, we tell them, and we prescribe how often you should come in. So I mean, it is a little bit different when you get those actual single sport or two sport kids that have 6 months of really nothing. Those are a dime a dozen. But with the multi-sport kids, the young kids are the ones that mom and dad think they're invincible. They have a ball of energy when they get home. They're running and jumping and doing all this stuff. So they feel like they can handle more. Just because it seems that way doesn't mean you should. Okay. Let them have that time to themselves, play with their friends, have the sleepovers, do all that stuff, and then let them go be intentional on the days they train. Maybe it's 2-3 days a week. Okay. Those days are high quality. We're not keeping them in the gym past an hour. We want to get to the point, get them out of there so they can go do homework, have family dinner, all that stuff. So as they're younger and they have that energy, don't think that you just need to overfill them just to maximize their youth, because that's not what's happening.
Nah, listen, man, I love it. Let them be a kid. Right? You gotta let them be a kid. And now it's funny when we talk about multiple sport athletes, because now I remembering, and I'm older than you, so I don't know if it was like this when you were younger, but for me, I did play all year round. However, it was only on a rec team. It was, hey, I played baseball for 3 months, with just a t-shirt, and I played once a week, one practice, one night a week, one game on the weekends, and then I went into basketball, and then I went into soccer. And but there was no training, there was no extra fall ball, there was no traveling. It was like literally just that. And now it's changed. So I honestly don't know how kids, if they're playing at such a high level, how they even have time to do multiple sports. I'll say this on a personal note. I remember and it's honestly, I say this all the time, it's a decision I regret. And I tell my daughter this. So my daughter was a fantastic softball player and a fantastic cheerleader. And when she got to ninth grade, I said to her, you got to make a choice. I hate to do this to you, but number one, because I didn't want her to burn out. And I was like, it's just too much, because I never understood how crazy cheerleading was until we got into it. And then I was like, you're going 6 days a week for cheer. How are you going to do that? Plus softball every day. You're going to burn yourself out. So you got to pick one. And I kind of pushed her to my regret, the softball, because I was being a little chauvinistic at that time and said, you know what? I don't want her to be a cheerleader in high school because of all the drop, because of girl dad. And I'm thinking of all crazy stuff. Right. So I wanted her to go play softball. And I don't regret, because she had a great career. I don't regret it for that standpoint. I regret it because I didn't let her choose. And I tell her that all the time. I feel like I pushed her, and I feel like she may have chose the latter. So I think a lot of parents could be dealing with that same thing right now.
100%. And like the guidance we give kids when they come up to us and like, should I go out for this sport? And then you just have that genuine conversation with them and you say, well, are you doing it because you want to and you love it? Or are you doing it because you feel like you have to, or other people are making you and pressuring you? And when they start to think about that and they really take like an introspective dive and they're like, I hated every single practice I went to. I hated every competition. I might have been good at it, but I didn't get any joy from it. And at that point, that's when you kind of have to say, well, that might not be my thing. And so if you want to start to specialize in one less sport, maybe you double down on the one that you really, really love. Okay, that's going to preserve your love for sport and competing. And yeah, I mean, there are some coaches that are like, well, you're so good at this, you should do this. And I'm a firm believer in multi-sport athletes. There's a huge carryover to everything with that. But you have to put the kid first and be like, if he hates being around the dudes and being at practice every time he shows up, I'm not doing him a service. I'm not helping him fill his cup. So it's a tough conversation, and no one ever wants to quit a sport. unless they genuinely have to. But I mean, it's one of those things. You're only going to preserve your mental health. You're going to preserve, again, your overall self for the long haul by making that call.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Because now, a lot of these kids, which I love to see, are very, very strong academically. They're in National Honor Society. They're, which is a big commitment. They have a lot of community service they have to do. They want to be in clubs at school, because those clubs at school, what do? They can lead to scholarships, because it's not just about sports. And it's like, okay, so you have all the sports, all the training, all the academics. Eventually, the mind needs a friggin' break, man. Like, it needs
100%.
like you said, go eat cold pizza, bro. Go play Nintendo. That show my age. I'm saying Nintendo, right? But just, go do something other than play sports right now, just a couple days a week. So I love it. Now, I think I know the answer to this question because you said it, but I'm just curious. If you could fix one thing about the youth sports culture tomorrow, like you woke up tomorrow and said, I am fixing this right now, what would it be?
Stop lying to the kids. It's when they're 11, 12, 13, you're putting them, for being a Midwest guy, like we have some baseball kids that they've heard scouts say, well, if you're not playing the 6 months down south where you can play year-round baseball, you're not going to get noticed. And I touched on it earlier. It's like, yes, you are. You have a competitive season where everyone is recruiting at that time. That's when you're playing high-level competition. If you go do club for the couple additional months, like there's fall ball leagues, there's all that stuff, great. You're going to be seen, but you don't have to uproot your family, go either travel every weekend or move so that you can play in the off season. Like, stop doing that. Don't lie to these kids. You're maximizing on their ignorance, and you're making some money on it just to basically say, hey, you're never going to get noticed, never going to get recruited unless you do X. It's like, stop doing that. That's dumb.
I love it, man. I do. I love that. I'm going to play that over and over again because it's true. It is. It's so true. I mean, especially today in the form of digital media, and you can listen. I could go make my own reel of my sons and send it to every coach that I want. I mean, you can do that. Like, you have that ability. You don't have to go to every $5,000 college showcase tournament to get noticed. You just don't. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying you are able to get noticed. I love that because people just don't get it. They just don't get it. Now, what can you share a story where your training at ETS has helped transform a kid's confidence, not just their performance?
Oh yeah, I got a good one. So this was super early in my career of opening up ETS Rochester. This was back, I want to say, in maybe a year and a half into operation, and the magnitude of what happened like just sunk me into my chair. So we had a kid that came in, and quieter kid, not overly athletic, bigger dude. And just like every athlete, we took him through his eval, got some notes on him, did some testing, gave him an awesome experience. And when he sat down with the family, I always asked their goals because I want to know why we're sitting here. Yep. And so when I asked the kid what he wanted to get better at, what we're working towards, he had said, well, I mean, I want to get stronger. I want to be better at football. Just very generic, very surface level. And when I brought it to Dad and I was like, Dad, what do you want to see him get out of this? It's like, yeah, what he said, like, be a better football player. I think he likes the sport. And it was just very, very surface level. 3 months go by. And again, the kid's been training. He's been showing up. He's been, again, less and less shy every single week. He's coming out of his shell. It's like 8:30. We're wrapping up sessions. This is before I had kids. So I was there well past close every night. And so I get a phone call, and I missed a phone call, I should say. And I was like, well, I'm here. He called me 5 minutes ago. I know he's still awake. So I pop on the phone and I go, what's up? And he told me, he goes, Jake, I just wanted to tell you at the evaluation a couple months ago, I lied to you. And I told him, I'm like, well, you're not the first person. You won't be the last. So spill it. And he told me, he said, when we sat down for the eval and you asked me what my goals were for my son, I told you what I told you, but my true goal for what I want my son to get out of being with ETS, or just in general, my true goal is for him to want to live. And so when he said that, just buckled me. Absolutely no idea how to approach this conversation. And I go on a 20-minute conversation with the guy, and he's sharing with me how his son had gotten to the point where he thought being dead would be better than what he's got going on right now. And he had been on suicide watch more than once. And what he went to tell me is every day he shows up to the gym, I've never seen a version of my son that has been more excited to wake up the next day, go be around the guys like myself and our coaches. And when he said that, it magnified and amplified the platform that we have to impact people beyond the physical, beyond the training. It's not just weights when you're with us. Like that experience, when I had kind of been informed of his background, I had never seen a kid be goofier, like show up every day, want to wrestle me. And he was a sweater. So I'm wearing his nasty dude sweat because he's trying to grab on me. And it was so cool, because normally if someone's going to come up and bear hug me and he reeks like that, I'm gonna be like, get off. But to know that the impact we were making on this kid gave him the fuel to want to wake up the next day. And it wasn't just us. We're never going to be the people to take all the credit for anything. But knowing that we had a small impact in his life, to be around, to give him the people in his life that are going to support him, going to push him, going to love him up, be the people that he needed in his life at that current time. That was one that I'll never forget. And that was one that really makes me cherish every single opportunity I have to interact with the kids that we have, because I know how important it is to be that person in their life that they need. So that's a heavy one. I know we probably weren't expecting that tonight, but it's wow. Phenomenal.
That's awesome. I mean, it speaks on so many different levels too, because, you know, I've dealt with certain situations like that through my years. And what you just said is, you know, we never know what's going on behind closed doors. And that's why, like, I'm a huge advocate right now. Like, I keep pushing for, I feel like every professional team now has a sports psychologist. But I feel like at a high school level, even at a middle school level, that the coaches should have mental health training. They should have training to say, you know, signs to look for, because they're not, because I've seen things, and just like you say, you don't know what's going on at home, and you are their outlet. Like when they come to you, they're kind of getting away from what's really bringing them down. And if you yourself, as a coach, as a mentor, as a trainer, are bringing them down as well, that's just a double whammy, man. Like that's not so. I love the story because it's so powerful. Because, you know, I've said this all the time. You know, obviously not from a suicide standpoint, but just from a confidence standpoint, where we see kids that struggle. And I'll give you a quick example. So just from this podcast, and I know she's going to listen to this later. So one of my friends that I grew up with over the years, her daughter, 14 years old, never played travel ball before in softball. She was kind of afraid to step into it. A little bit the kid and also the parent, like not to know what to expect. I had a guest on, and Coach Vicky, about a month ago, and she was really good, and she coached 14U, which was that age. So after the episode, her mom had hit me up and said, I just want to let you know, we listened to the episode. It was great. And soon as that her daughter heard the coach say she's looking for kids, she turned to her mom, was like, I want to go. And lo and behold, she's like, okay, took her there, had a great, and now she's on the team. And now it's like, I made a match. And I don't say that, but it makes me feel so good, because like this kid would have never possibly had that opportunity, or never had the confidence to say, you know what? But because she heard this coach and she said, I'm really relating to what she's saying, I feel comfortable, she went out. And more stories like that we need, brother. We need more like that, for real. I love it.
You can be the catalyst to somebody else's greatness. And it's something that sounds so cliche, and it probably gets pumped up on every single self-confidence book you read or self-help, whatever, but it's seriously true. Is like, you never know what other people are going through. And since having 2 daughters now, I get chirped from a lot of my kids that have trained with me for years, and they're like, you've gotten so much softer. And I mean, I was the egotistical strength coach when I was younger. I'm like, hey, you better respect me, don't show up late. But when I notice that someone comes in and they're acting different after hundreds of interactions, I know something's off. I'm not going to be the one to jump down your throat. I'm going to be the first person to ask you, how you doing? What's going on? You're not yourself. And then that's when, you know, you develop that trust, and they're able to use you as that outlet, share what's going on. And I'll tell those kids, like, I'm glad you're here. And it's just those simple words that, again, they know they're loved, they know they're welcomed. That's the impact that I want to have on the world, is being that person who can fill your cup, who can fill the need of whatever you need, whether it's great training or someone to talk to or someone to just be positive and instill and pour that into you at a given day. Like, that's all I care about. So
I love it, man. I'm with you. I say it all the time. This was my last year. So none of my kids are in high school anymore. So high school sports are over. And last year during the season, I had a couple messages from kids I coached that, because different age groups, they were still seniors and they were playing, and asked me to come to their games and asked me to, like, that's huge to me. It's like, wow, you really want me there. Like, and you go there, it kind of brings tears to your eyes. You get emotional because you're like, I've watched this kid, I've trained him, I've coached him. Now he's on Instagram sending me messages, asking me questions. It's like, I do want to be that guy. I don't mind being that guy, right? Because I grew up and I really never had that. Like, my dad's fantastic, but I never had a coach to where, we could talk about that, because it was different type of coaches back then, right? So now I think we are very relatable. It helps when you're a younger guy and you're whether you're male or female, but when you're younger and you can relate to these kids. Like, I'll tell you a funny story. So when I coached softball, now I started kids way too early. Don't recommend it to anybody, but it worked out. But when I was coaching my daughter at that time, I was probably just turned 30. So I grew up in the inner city, always a hip hop kid, always down with the culture and, whatever the newest trends were. And all the girls would be like, Taylor, your dad is so cool. It must be great to be his kid. And she would look at them and go, you have no idea. You do not want to be Tony's kid, because because I knew. Like, I was like, oh, no. Like, whether you came down dressed a certain way, I'm like, nope, nah. I was very strict, and I did it for a reason. And back then, we kind of would battle a little bit, but now she's like, Dad, I really appreciate you doing that, because now I understand why. And it's like I would do that with my kids that I coach, because I always tell my kids, like, I want you, don't come here and think that it's going to be any different. Like, I'm probably going to be more stricter than your parents. And I would tell the parents, like, we would have conferences. I said, I'm a little different. Like, I'm going to expect more, especially when they went from 12 to 13. And when my kids would show up and say, Coach, I forgot my mom forgot to put my water bottle. And I'm like, whoa, time out. Who forgot to put, bro, that ain't on your mom. That's on you. Like, and I would tell the parents, like, I'm going to be tough on them. But unfortunately, they need it right now. And I think that's why they respected me. And I know you probably feel the same way. So it's just, we need more of that, Jake. We need more of that in this world. We really do.
1,000%.
As we kind of close out, I will ask you, how about for a kid? And I know we've talked about there's all different levels, but because you did play Division I and you do know what it takes in that aspect, for a kid who dreams of playing D1 one day, what's the right way would you tell them to chase that dream without losing their mental health along the way?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a huge commitment, like if you want to go play any level of college sport, especially nowadays, it gets more and more competitive. You have to understand that it takes time to get to that level, and you do have to go compete. You have to show up. You have to be an amazing teammate at practice. You have to be a great leader to your brothers and your sisters on the team. Like, there's so much more than just being good on the field that goes into it, because when we get scouts, when we get recruiters, or even coaches that reach out to us, they know that the athletes that put up good stats, like, they know they're good at the sport, but they're asking so much more about, okay, when they show up to their training sessions, do they enjoy it, or do they skip stuff? Do they take accountability for their actions? Do they show ownership? They want to know what type of person that they're going to bring on and represent their organization and their team and their university. So you need to be a good person, first and foremost, like the people that get good grades, the people that, again, do the NHS, that give back to their community, that empower others and all that stuff. But when it comes to the physical side of things, like it's wear and tear. I mean, it's something that you show up every single day. Practices are hard. Days are long. It is something that's going to wear you down mentally and physically. And you just have to know whether or not you love it. And so I don't want, like I had said earlier in the pod, like just because you have a dream at age 13 doesn't mean that that's the only goal that's going to be worth reaching for. Like as you get older, as you go through the process, maybe it does align that, hey, I know that I really want to be a pilot, but that school that offered me a scholarship, they don't have that as a major. But this school, maybe it's down a level and they can, again, get me the education I want, which is going to set me up past sport. That's your new D1. So regardless of levels, there's work to it, there's commitment, and you need to have people in your life that are setting you up to be able to handle those stressors effectively without leading to the burnout, without leading to the added stress, or being one of those coaches that the kids look back on and be like, he made me hate sport. And so there's a lot of those stories, but yeah, I just, you gotta surround yourself with the people that are prepare you for it, both physically, mentally, spiritually, educationally, like be around the right people.
That's that last statement. Be around the right people, man. That's huge. That's definitely huge. Now, where can parents, coaches, and athletes, obviously, whether they're locally or nationally, learn more about ETS or just connect with you?
Yeah, people can connect with me directly at my Instagram. Like I get messages from all over, which is super cool that people, whether it's podcasts or just saw a post of me squatting or doing something, they reach out, follow me. It's super cool. So I love interacting. Otherwise from ETS at ETS Performance HQ, that is always going to be showing footage and posts from all of our 60 locations across 20 states. Our website, www.etsperformance.com, has information on our services, what our mission is, what our story is, how we came about. And next year, 2026, we have pretty aggressive growth plans to be in 25 more communities across the nation. So if there's not an ETS in your area right now, plans are that we're going to be there pretty soon. So something we're super excited about, super blessed to be the ones facilitating that growth and leading the wave of next future generation of leaders within the company and people that are going to go make a huge splash in any market that we go to. So super fortunate, super blessed. Love this conversation, brother. Let's do it again sometime soon. And again, people reach out to me if they want. Reach out to ETS at any location. I know every single director we got, they're all good people. I put my stamp on them. So
that's all. Hey, man, maybe if you get a facility down by me, we'll do one live in the new facility or something, man. You never know.
Don't threaten me with a good time, Tony.
Jake, man, listen, I really appreciate this as well. Great conversation. I love having you on. You have such a huge background, and like you just told everybody, make sure you go follow him. I'll have everything so everybody knows after this podcast. It'll be all in the description where you can find them. I will say, man, you are absolutely loved because I've never had a post blow up on my end like I did when for you. I mean, just for comments about how awesome you were, how much of a great trainer you were. I had people DMing me talking about how it's so great to have you on. I mean, you've already made a tremendous difference already, man. I'm excited to see what the future holds for sure.
I stand on the shoulders of giants, man. I'm surrounded by a lot of good people, so I'm blessed and keep making an impact, man.
I love it, man. I love it. So we'll have you back on again.
Let's
and
go.
Listen, after the new year, as that expansion comes, we'll get you back on to talk about it as well.
Let's go, baby.
All right, man. Yeah, you have a fantastic evening. Everybody, again, make sure you follow at Fighting for Overtime as well, all your social formats, and we'll get back to you next time. Fighting for Overtime is a Rise and React media production. If you're looking to start a podcast, if you're looking to get some direction, hit us up, let us know. We'll help you out there as well. Again, for everybody, enjoy your time, memories and moments, and keep fighting that fight. Continue to fight in overtime to make your kid have the best experience that they can have when it comes to playing youth sports.